All right, Shalom. I want to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh, Bahashim Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in grace and peace, to you elect around the four winds, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. This is your fellow servant, Rokaria, from the GMS Orlando camp. And tonight I wanted to do a land back lesson from the video that was done by the big bro Shaquat Karab from the GMS Virginia camp. And his video is entitled Laziness and Foolishness. You know, and these two characteristics pretty much sum up the majority of our men, hell, the majority of our people today. Lazy, foolish, sadists, like the scripture say in Jeremiah, the 4th chapter. All right, and these are characteristics that have been learned from the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, and been allowed to fester within our communities for many generations now. To the point to where you get cultures like black culture, you get cultures like Hispanic and native culture, to where it's nothing but a culture of death. From the diet to the manner of conduct, it's nothing but death. It's nothing but laziness. It's nothing that it promotes nothing but laziness and foolishness. But now through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh, we've been called out of that, all right, into a greater purpose, into our true purpose, which is to serve Yahweh Shem Yahweh, all right, to fear the Lord and to keep his commandments, like it says in Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter and the 13th verse. All right, the whole duty of man. All right, we've been called out of that lazy mentality, that lazy mindset. We've been called out of that foolish mentality, that foolish mindset, all right, unto a greater purpose, which is to serve the Lord in sincerity and in truth. You know, but I'm going to play a couple of minutes of the big bro's video, you know, because he makes a couple of beautiful points. And I have a couple of precepts I want to get here too as well. You know, Lord wishes edifying unto you elect. Let's hop into it.
And I'm gonna read down a couple verses. Then I'm as well, you know, any precepts that come to mind I will bring forth. Going right in. So this is Sirach 22:1. Lazy people are no better than dumb. They are repulsive and no one wants to get near them. Let's look up the definition of repulsive. Bear with me one moment. So it says, arousing intense distaste or disgust, revolting, disgusting, abhorrent, repellent, repugnant, offensive, objectionable, vile, foul, nasty, loathsome, sickening.
And that's what the majority of our people have become to the Lord, man. All right, let's get this in Isaiah 65, right? The majority of our people have become repulsive unto the Lord by their actions, man, by their laziness, by the foolishness that they continually commit on a daily basis. You know what the scriptures say this? You know, in Ecclesiastes 10:6, right? It says, folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. And amongst our people, folly is set in great dignity. Foolishness is held in high regard within the Black, Latino, and Native American community to the utmost degree. And because this is so, we become violent to the Lord, man. Revolting. This is Isaiah 65. It says in verse 2, I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in the way that was not good after their own thoughts, and people that provoketh me to anger continually to my face, that sacrifices in gardens and burn of incense upon altars of brick. And that's what our people do on a daily basis, by exalting laziness, by exalting foolishness. They provoke the Lord daily to his face, going after these other gods, going after their own thoughts, constantly disrespecting the Lord on a daily basis. And they become revolting. They become vile. We were once vile. We were once revolting into the Lord, until the Lord called us out of that through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh. And now now the things that are pleasing unto the Heavenly Father have been made known unto us. And to the best of our ability, we try to fulfill those things, man. We try to please the Lord by doing the work, by making our body a living sacrifice, studying, reading, you know, feeding the sheep. going out in the highways and byways. This, we do the things, rehearsing the righteous acts to the best of our ability, like it says in Judges, the 5th chapter. We now, being made privy unto the things that are pleasing unto the Lord, we try to do that to the best of our ability. We try to be as least revolting, as least vile as possible. It says, I've spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in the way that was not good after their own thoughts. A people that provoketh me to anger continually to my face, that sacrificeth in gardens and burneth incense upon altars of brick, which remain among the graves, and lodge in the monuments, which eat swine flesh and broth of abominable things in their vessels, which say, stand by thyself, come not near me, for I am holier than thou. These are a smoke in my nose and a fire that burneth all the day. And the Lord said, our people are like a smoke in his nose. What do you do when the smoke is in your nose? You trying to get it out your nose. It's a nuisance. It's revolting. Trying to get away from that as quick as possible. And that's how the Lord feels, at the majority of our people, man, who are lazy and foolish, and who refuse to come out of that, even though the knowledge, the wisdom and knowledge of the Lord has been made privy unto them, even though the faith has been made privy unto them, which ultimately we know that 2/3 of our nation were predestined to be cut off anyways, but that doesn't make them that less vile. Going back to the video.
Stomach turning, hateful, detestable, execrable, abominable, monstrous, appalling, reprehensible, deplorable, insufferable, intolerable, despicable, contemptible, beyond the pale, unspeakable, noxious, horrendous, heinous, atrocious, awful, terrible, dreadful, frightful, obnoxious. And this is all similar to repulsive. Unsavory, unpleasant, disagreeable, distasteful. Off-putting, uninviting, displeasing, ugly, hideous, gruesome, unsightly, vomitous, horrible, horrid, gross, putrid, sick-making, sick, yucky. Beastly, skanky, noisome, disgustful, scurvy, loathly, and that's what you get with repulsive. And what has happened to our people is the the programming of degeneracy of our people. See, Jake, our forefathers, we built this whole country. When you look at more hard-driven, more hard-working people, you start from the so-called black men, so-called Hispanic, Latino men, on down to the so-called Mexican.
And the brothers are going to go into this, that image over time, was tore down. The image of what a man is in our nation, the image of our forefathers, the image of the ancient men of our nation, that image was tore down and hidden from us. So now you get men who are lazy, who have no ambition, who have no drive, whereas our forefathers were men of purpose. Our forefathers were men of courage, valor, integrity. Our forefathers worked. Our forefathers were men of faith. And that's why the scriptures tell us to do this. In Job, the 8th chapter. In the 8th verse, it says, for I inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. All right, the scriptures tell us to inquire of the former age, prepare for the search of our fathers. Why? Because in today's day and age, our fathers are a bunch of cowards. The men that they put on the forefront are a bunch of entertainers, jesters, and their will and their morals are able to be bent either which way the money goes. Whereas when you look at our forefathers, men like Eleazar, all right, whose morals and will and faith toward Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai wasn't able to be bent even in the most dire of circumstances. Men like the 7 sons and their mother, whose will and integrity stood firm in Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. We don't learn about men like this. We learn about men like Lucifer the Queen, who trim their ways to seek love. We learn about men who jump and skip and hop all day for a paycheck, who shut their mouth, who who shut their mouth and just dribble, shut their mouth and just catch a ball for a living. Also while seeing the injustices, also while seeing the calamity and the destitute state our people are in on a daily basis. Who refuse to speak on pressing issues such as the lack of faith in our nation, such as the lack of knowledge in our nation. These are the men that are glorified and put on the forefront in our nation in today's day and age. And that was all by design. But a part of the gospel is that Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai has restored this knowledge back unto us. And now we're being educated, all right? To educate means to draw out, all right? And we're being educated once again in the ways of our fathers, in the way of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. A way that was always in us, but was just dormant for a moment in time. But let's get back to it.
So-called Jamaicans, etc. But, our forefathers built this place. And then, through the methods and the strategic plans of Esau, you have this day and age, which you have bred a bunch of degeneracy. You threw our image down, casted our image down. So everything our forefathers created, invented, you took from us, and you put your title, your name on it. And I'm talking about the so-called white man. And then he puts this narrate that, the black man is lazy, the so-called Hispanic is lazy. You got the reproaches, you got the bywords, you got all these type, watermelon, spick wetbacks, you got all these code names. But again, this is all programmed and designed by Esau, that Jake act the way they do now. So again, Jake has lost their ambition. Jake has lost their drive. So now,
and me and the brother, we're talking about this, a couple of days ago, about how, even Jakes who are in this world, not even in this truth, Jakes that are in this world have no ambition. They have no drive to do anything outside of sit in the house and live in this created world that Esau Edom has provided for them through the internet. And men aren't supposed to live like that. Men are supposed to have ambition. That's how empires are built, man. That's how empires are sustained. Through the ambition and drive of the men. Through their power, man. But in today's day and age, these men have no drive, no ambition to do anything.
we live in,
and that's all by design,
day and age where Jake, all he wants to do is smoke weed, eat, do drugs, party, dance, and go back on the couch, mainly at his mom's crib, eat a sandwich, smoke weed again, wake up, talk foolishness, think about being the next rapper, basketball player, work, if he does work, work a little bullshit job, and that's it. Or he don't work at all. His mother probably set up some little, thing up so he can get a little check, SSI check, whatever. But, you get the point. So, verse 3, it is a disgrace. It is a disgrace to a father to have an undisciplined child. You see that? And, all of this was, designed for error of our nation. And this is why they took the father out of the house. Let me get
right. And I want to touch on that point as well. Brother brings this precept out as well. I want to as well. This is Matthew 12 and 29. says, or else how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. And what's happened to the houses of the community of you Israelites, by design, is that the so-called white man has binded the strong man, took the fathers out of the household, and with taking the fathers out of the household, the structure left as well. The discipline left as well. And so now what you get is a bunch of wanton women. You have a bunch of men with women mentalities, which is dangerous. All that testosterone with a woman's mentality is dangerous. It spells calamity. It spells destruction, which is exactly what you see within our communities. The destruction of our own selves, on a constant daily basis. And not only did they take the fathers out of the house physically, but they took the fathers out of the house spiritually as well. Because as we're learning now, all right, we have many valiant, many courageous, many faithful forefathers that we descend from. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Yahushua, Paul, Peter, John, Obadiah, Micah, Jonah, Isaiah. We have fathers, that have taught us the way spiritually. And with both of these being removed, both of these being bound up, the men of the houses were left to be spoiled. And that's where we find ourselves today, spoiled, but the Lord has came with healing in his wings. The Lord has came with that healing ointment, all right, for the remnant of his people. All right, he's healed up the brokenhearted. He's healed up the sorrowful. He's healed up those who are bound. He set free the captive mentally, spiritually. And for the remnant, all right, we're being trained up in the way of our fathers right now. And that's why we're grieving the enemy. That's why we're grieving the enemy. Because we're being trained up once again in the ways of our fathers. And those old tricks, all right, all the Confederate, counsels they've had against us are now coming to naught and being exposed through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Let's play a little bit more.
That real quick. Must bind took down our image, the so-called black man's and Hispanic Latinos man's image, and this is the image. That's why our own women, they don't want us. They don't want their men. They want Esau. They constantly, they're trying to reverse the roles. They're trying to pretty much put us down to uplift themselves, because again they have no respect for us. And again, it never was a patriarchy. That these women are trying to take hold of and trying to claim that it was, but the whole time it was the so-called white man ruling over you and destroying you. But he flipped the script. He made the Superfly, the black exploitation movies, and he fooled our whole nation. And this is what you get. No father in the house, the mother's in the house, and we all know what mothers do to children. They, again, when there's just a mother in the house, majority of the children, mainly all of them, become undisciplined. And when a child that's undisciplined go into the world, they are easy targets. They're easily devoured. And by the time, they grow old and grow older, in their teens, they get bamboozled by all the snares and the traps of Esau. And then by the time they get in their 30s and their 40s, a majority of them are fucked up mentally.
And this device would have destroyed our whole nation if the Lord didn't leave that remnant. This is Isaiah chapter 1 in verse 9. It says, except the Lord of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant, we would have been as Sodom, and we would have been like unto Gomorrah.
And except the Lord have left this remnant here in these latter days, who are going to come out of that foolishness, who are going to come out of that laziness and foolishness, we would have been in Sodom and Gomorrah. When you read about the devices and the counsels that were taken against our people, they're very strong and they're very deep. Read the Willie Lynch letter. Very deep. The enemy thought very deep to cut us off. And except the Lord had left the remnant of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and American Indians who are Israelites according to the Bible, a whole nation would be cut off. But Kohalal Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, that lazy and foolish mentality has been stomped through the Spirit, man. And now we're rising up to the occasion through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, just like our forefathers did, just like Yahushai did. And pretty soon the Lord is going to claim the victory along with his elect. With that being said, that's all I have to say tonight. Lord, when that's edifying unto you elect. Shalom. Stay up.